Welcome back to Our First Century, a podcast celebrating 100 years. I am Ty Edmondson, CEO of TA Loving Company. In today's episode, we're exploring the future of K-12 construction, where we will talk through how construction and education come together to create dynamic, future-ready learning environments for students and staff. We're joined by TA Loving Company project team members James Wood, John Witcher, and special guest Julie McLaurin, who serves as the principal and client leader at DLR Group. This is episode 9, K-12 Innovators, Constructing the Future of Education. Let's dive in. Thank you all so much for being with us today. Before we get started, can each of you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in K-12 education? James, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Ty. So first and foremost, I'm very excited to be here and to be able to be on this podcast. It's an honor. So I'm James Wood. I'm project executive for TA Loving Company. I lead our K-12 education market. It's a role that I've started here within the last year. But really, I've been doing K-12 projects for about the last 5 years, and even before that, have been doing education projects for most of my career. So it's something that's really important to me, and I've been able to grow within the organization. I've had really just a sweet time and career here so far with the company over the course of the last 7 or 8 years. So it's a pleasure, number one, to be here, but also to be a part of what we're doing here in K-12.
All right. Well, thanks. You know, it's always great to see how people come into this company and then to watch their career and their career progression. So you're a great example of that. Okay. John.
So my name is John Witcher. I've been hired as a director of pre-construction here in Raleigh. So that's what I do is I manage the pre-construction effort when it comes down to budgets and things of that nature, trying to get things aligned correctly with the owner. I've only been with TA Loving for about a year, so my time here has been short, but I have over 31 years of experience with K-12 in the K-12 market. Built schools from Greensboro all the way to the beach, from Virginia on down to South Carolina. So
okay,
it's been fun.
Well, good. Well, what do you like about TA Loving Company?
Oh, this has been just a joy to work here. Everybody is so friendly and nice, and I haven't really met anybody that's not, pulling their own weight, doing what they need to do to get the job done. So it's been a joy.
Okay. Well, great. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Julie, thanks for being with us. Can you give us a little introduction on yourself?
Yes, I'm happy to be here. My name is Julie McLaurin, and I'm a client leader with DLR Group. And I came to DLR Group 3 years ago and to build the Durham office. And so I lead the Durham office and our practice. Throughout my career, I started in K-12 early on and have really been focused on civic and community projects my whole career, public projects. And so I was real excited to come to DLR to really lead this K-12 effort.
Well, great. Well, we're really glad, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely.
James, TA Loving Company's had a hand in numerous K-12 facilities across North Carolina. What's one project stands out most to you and why?
So I have thought about that question a lot, actually. One of the things in my role as project executive and leading this K-12 market is I've tried to think about what our vision is for the group, right? And I think at the very heart and center of that is that we want to be very good service providers. We want to be excellent service providers. If you look at the core values there up on the wall, one of the things that we're known for is just being excellent in what we do. And I want for us in the K-12 market to be the contractor of choice, right? In whatever market it is that we serve. And I'm not saying that we're going to be in all of the school districts, but wherever we're at, I want us to be the preferred brand. So I think one of the things that has really stuck out to me, and one of the projects that really embodies that, is what we're doing in Mooresville. So we were building, so we won a project back in 2020 with Wake County Public School System. and it was a middle school, and it had a magnet high school component to it. Large project, 300,000 square feet. I think I've heard that it's one of the largest that TA Loving has built, at least as a TA Loving only project, right? Not as a joint venture. So we won the project back in 2020. I got involved in probably 2021, early on in pre-construction. I spent a lot of time in pre-con and just thinking through the project and planning it out, building schedules, planning and thinking about, hey, how are we going to build this thing? Helping pre-con with building out bid scopes and bid packages and all of the different things, to where then come time to actually build the facility, I had spent countless hours already thinking about the project and already planning it and building the team that was going to be part of the build team. Well, we show up in 2023 and the job has just started off so well. We just really felt like the plan was just really well thought out. And we spend the first half of the project. It's going great. I get a phone call one day from the folks at Wake County Public Schools, and they're a great client, by the way. We really enjoy that partnership. Anyways, I get called into the office one day, and they say, James, we want to come talk to you about the middle school. And, you don't know what that phone call is all about, right? So I go over to their office and I sit down with them, and they say, hey, James, you're not going to like what we're about to tell you, right? And I'm sitting here kind of bracing for impact of, okay, what have we done? What's going on? Talk to me, whatever. And they said, James, you're building a middle school and it needs to be a high school. And and I think they're waiting for almost the, I don't know, just the shoe to drop, right? Of like, how's he going to react? Like, what's he going to say? And I kind of just took it in stride and just thought, this is y'all's school. This is your building. We're building for you guys, right? You're the client. We'll do whatever you want. Tell me more. Was kind of how we responded. And so they started kind of laying out this overall thought and plan around Mooresville and basically saying, hey, we've gone back and we've evaluated the overall community, right? We've looked at the program. We looked at where we've got high schools and middle schools and all this sort of stuff. And the campus that you're building on right now is probably best suited now, 3-4 years later after the project was awarded. It really needs a high school more than it needs a middle school. Well, the school that we had that we were already building, 300,000 square feet, was plenty big for a high school. So they said, we want y'all to take this middle school and help us convert it to a high school. And that sounds really easy, and it's really not. But it's been just such a good example of the level of collaboration, and especially working with John in pre-construction, where we've had to take a program that was based around a middle school and think through every aspect of, okay, what do the science classrooms now need to look like, right? The weight training needs of a 4A high school, what does that need to look like? And it's working with the design team, working with Wake County Schools to identify, okay, what's the new program? What's our goals? And then quickly go from construction back into pre-construction to then be able to think, how do we build the ship while we're on it, kind of thing, without going too far and without having to go backwards, right? So all that being said, we've worked, and the end all of this is that we're going to open up the school on time per the original schedule. We've worked with them on the budget side of things to fund a lot of what the conversion looks like out of project contingencies and reserves. And now we're going to be building about a $170 million high school that's got a parking garage and a stadium and all sorts of other things. So it was a neat thing for them to come to us as partners and say, hey, look, here's a big challenge and we need your help, right? And we were able to take that, hear it, listen, and be able to take that and try to do something.
It's been a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Working together as a team while they're actually producing a product and trying to make it go backwards to determine what it is that, hey, we need to stop this portion of this because you're going to put in something that's going to cost too much to tear it out again. So it's been really cool. It's been aspect. It's a cool project to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. So many times in our company, we have folks that come to us, different owners we're working for, and they're looking for us to help fix their problem. And we're the ones that do that so many times. And I like the way you talked about our core values, because teamwork, client advocacy, all the things, a trusted advisor, we want to be all those things. And it's a really great way that we can showcase what we stand for and what we do.
Right.
And especially when you have examples like that. So that's
right.
perfect. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
John, K-12 projects typically have tight deadlines that are structured around the start of school. School systems rely on TA Loving Company to deliver predictable outcomes. How has the TA Loving Company team been able to consistently overcome challenges to ensure successful project completion and turnover?
Well, I think it starts with good communication. Along the same lines with that M19 project, I mean, if you don't understand what it is that you're dealing with and how it needs to be dealt with amongst the team, it makes it very difficult. So putting together bid scopes with the team, understanding that with the superintendent, his assistant, right on down to the APMs, getting every single person involved, because every person that is on that job understands an aspect that I can't see. So it's vitally important that that communication gap is tight. Also looking at the packages that we put together, sometimes, especially in today's market, with the way that tariffs are or the delivery of a product of some sort that's going to be delayed, we need to understand that and deliver that information to the owner so that we can make these concessions, order these products sooner, and get them to the job site on time so that the job site can be delivered in a successful manner.
Yeah, it's really important. Great point you made about you've got to involve everyone.
Yes.
From the pre-con side to the estimating side to all the procurement,
Right.
and then the whole field, our field team that's out there building these incredible projects.
Right.
They have to be involved early in the process, so it's from a constructability perspective.
Right.
We're where we need to be.
Even right on down to some of the subs, we need
Yes.
to be talking with them, getting their input, because they're the ones that are on the front lines and they really understand what the impact is going to have.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right.
Well, great.
I think maybe just to add on to that as well, and we've done some of that even with your team, just on some of the schools in Greensboro. But one of the things is almost looking for things that are not there, and just trying to see into the future and think about and build a plan around that early on. Delivering predictable outcomes for me is just building a good plan, and we've gotten to where we try to be so collaborative during the pre-con delivery process and working with the design team. I can't tell you how many times that even John and I right now are just having these types of discussions and meetings with our design partners and with our school systems or wherever it is, and just kind of talking about the issues early. That way, once we're out there, we've got a plan, and then it's just working the plan. But we build the plan before we show up, when you have a lot less ability to impact cost and schedule.
And it's having the trust that we can contact
Yeah.
an architect or an engineer and have those open conversations. This is not about bashing somebody. This is about making sure that that project is done in a timely manner and is done correctly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Julie, our company is based on relationships. That's one of our key foundations that we work from. So it's really great that you're here today to spend time with us, and we really appreciate the relationship, the working relationship that we have with you and your firm. What sets K-12 education construction apart from other commercial type construction?
Well, like John was talking about in that plan, schools have to open on time, and every project has something that happens along the way. Every plan has its changes, and that collaboration and having that integrated team and that trust and relationship with our construction partners and design partners makes it easier to navigate that. But construction projects on the K-12 side, one thing to keep in mind is that there are so many stakeholders involved. there's administration and the changes that come from the top, but then there's the teachers and, of course, the students, the parents, the community. These are community projects. And so a lot of people are very interested, and we have to keep all of those needs and their perspectives and their point of view in mind. And the other thing that really sets K-12 apart is just like James was talking about with a high school, but with any of the schools, you have so many different parts of the program, a variation of program types. You have all of the athletics, you have offices, you have the educational spaces, but a variety of spaces within the school, each with their own specifics and a variety of stakeholders.
That's a really good point. It's all about the end user and the owner, if you will, and that's the public.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I talk about all the things we do as a company being quality of life projects, because that's really what they are. They're essential. They're not optional. When somebody needs us to build a school, we've got to build a school, and we've got to deliver on time. Back to your point, John.
Right.
So that's a really great point.
And when you talk about, we're talking about new schools so far, but in renovations, the safety, the security, the phasing, the sensitivity to teachers and staff and students, and keeping things working in hours, and just the phasing and strategic nature of what has to happen on a construction site is very sensitive.
Yeah, I agree. This question's for everyone. In your view, what innovations in design and construction have been most impactful for modern K-12 education projects?
Well, I can take it first. John, you and I talked about this even last week. We were having a conversation with an owner and with a design firm about security, hardware and security, right? Keeping kids safe. And I hate that that's like, there's such conversation around that right now just because of the state of where we're at with school shootings and that sort of thing. But it's being so thoughtful, and that each decision that happens around a plan table or in a conversation, that they're so impactful for the students and for their safety. So I've seen a lot of that develop even in just the last probably 5 years, just thinking about how complex and complicated these projects are, that everything is so integrated, right? That you've got all these different types of access control systems and camera systems and data and communications and things like your fire alarm integrations and even building automation and controls, right? There's just so many different types of integrations that I've seen and technology upgrades. And Julie, you can talk about it as well, but I even think of just the new way of learning, right? That students are not learning the way that they used to, right?
Absolutely.
And the amount of just technology and infrastructure that's in these schools, it's gotten really complicated and pretty high tech. So,
yeah, the delivery models have changed, and we're not building traditional classrooms anymore. So that technology, being future ready and ready for the changes that have to happen, flexibility in use of space, making sure that in the future things can be renovated in a costly and efficient manner, there's a lot of variables in that. But
along the lines of flexibility, I mean, we're looking at hallways that are much wider than they used to be, only because they're putting classroom in the hall. So teachers are using that sort of as an open space. The little nooks and crannies that we used to just kind of pass by in a hallway now are used as a learning space, if you will. There's stairs that are larger in size so that you can have chorus groups come and sing while Christmas is going on and things of that nature. So everything is changing.
Variety
about
in
the space.
Having a variety in learning spaces is critical for learners. I mean, research shows, DLR Group does a lot of research on the impact of the environment on learning. And so we're looking for those opportunities and looking for those ways.
Another thing is we're talking now about the use of energy. And so we're building schools now with geothermal wells and solar voltaic cells that are on the roof. And we're even getting to a point to where they're what they call net zero. So they're not consuming energy. They're actually giving back to the power grid, which is a very unique thing when you think about a school of such of a grandiose size of a building is actually returning power back to the power grid. That's a unique process.
I think of all just the different economies that you have that now it's like there's, you can think of, ratios of spaces as they relate to adjacent spaces and teaching spaces versus, types of, common spaces or whatever. There's so much thought and there's always been thought around it, but there is just so much efficiency, I think, that is being built in the schools these days.
Yep.
James, the construction landscape is evolving quickly, and so are the expectations of clients and end users. How is TA Loving Company adapting its approach to support emerging needs in student life, sustainability, or technology integration?
So I think if I go back to the example of the school that we were talking about earlier, right, Mooresville High School, I think, one of the things that we say around the office is that it's so important for us to listen. And so often we can be quick to listen, but it's listening to respond, right? But being willing to sit and listen and understand what the needs are, right? So for us to be able to have a conversation about what's really important and what's really a priority, because then if we understand and know what the priorities are, then all those priorities can be put on a table, and then we can make decisions in the things that are not part of the non-negotiables, right? So it's understanding what are the priorities, what are the non-negotiables, and then we can work towards maximizing value and efficiencies and everything else from there. So I think number one, at least for me, it is to really just have clear lines of communication early on. Being willing to, being a good partner to me is not necessarily saying yes to everything, but it's being clear and direct and talking about what's real and what matters, and being willing to have those types of conversations. But being willing to listen and being able to understand kind of where the clients are coming from. And then if we understand and we can get very clear about the vision, then for us, it's a matter of then adopting that vision, right? They've got the vision for what they want, and it's our job to try to figure out how to bring it, to a reality.
We've got to deliver, meet their expectation.
That's right.
John, TA Loving Company's legacy has been built on generations of exceptional work. How does that legacy influence your approach today?
Well, I think back and I look at my 31 years of experience, but it pales in comparison to when I look at my email, when I open it up and it says 100 years on there. I mean, that in itself has set this bar that's just so high. That legacy wasn't forged overnight. It's built on person-to-person relationships, job to job that we built over time. And just having that gravity when you're in a meeting or conducting yourself in such a manner that you're trying to lead a group to do a certain thing, or just crafting an email. In my personal opinion, I'm sitting here thinking, I've got 100 years worth of projects behind me. And so that bar is set pretty high, but it's our job to push it even higher.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that when I talk to folks outside of work about work, whenever I say that I work for TA Loving Company, they're like, man, you work for a really great group of folks. And it's not even just people in our industry. Right. I mean, it is people that have lived in either Eastern North Carolina. There's somebody I ran into. Matter of fact, I was in Tennessee probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I ran into somebody, and they saw the tag on my truck, and they said, TA Loving Company, man, that is a good group of folks. So it's just pretty neat, right, that we've got that kind of legacy.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, those are great stories.
Yeah.
Julie, what are some of the trends you are seeing in the industry and in the K-12 market that you're excited about?
I'm really excited about CTE programs and future ready, helping learners be ready and successful in industry. the projects where we can work with those stakeholders, industry, giving students a chance to really do hands-on learning about different industries, set them right on a path immediately. We're seeing a lot more of that, and it's really exciting. From a design standpoint and construction standpoint, it means making sure that we have spaces that have that technology incorporated, that we understand how industry changes and how things are going to need to be modified in the future, working quickly, working together with those stakeholders to make sure that we're accommodating, making them as prepared as possible.
Yeah, and the need is so great. And the
Absolutely.
demand is so great. It's such a great place. The construction industry is a wonderful place to be. And I'm glad that we're talking about the technology side, the trade side, because it is a great place for a young person to start a career and have a career there for their entire life. It's very rewarding. So building that into the way we design schools and then the way we build those schools is a really good point. Thanks for making that point. John, TA Loving Company has built everything from libraries and labs to stadiums and student centers. How do you ensure each project reflects the specific goals of that client?
I think it's a matter of, first, we just got to open our ears and listen. And then we need to turn to that client. If we haven't worked with them before, we've got to get that client to trust us. That trust is just the key cornerstone or the foundation to whether or not we're going to be successful.
James, what does it mean to you to personally contribute to buildings where students will learn, live, compete, and connect?
One of the things that Julie was talking about earlier, it just reminded me that what we're building and designing and building now, it's no longer a one-size-fits-all approach, right? So everything that we do is so tailored to the community and to the students that we're building these things for, and these teachers that, that's where they go to work every single day, right? Just the same as that I've got an office and the same as I've got, places that I like to go at work and conference rooms and all that sort of stuff. We're building these workspaces and these teaching spaces for these teachers, administrators, and students. So for me, it's probably having that at the forefront and the focus that, hey, look, this isn't about me, right? So when it comes down to our quality control program, our safety program, right? How we do things and the care and the level of detail and the attention that we put on these projects, to me, if we're not thinking forward and thinking about the end users, then we're missing something, right? Because for me, I've always been tell me the why, right? Well, if the why is for the teachers and the students and who's actually going to be using the facility, then man, I just think that that's going to elevate the way that we deliver these schools. It's going to motivate me to make sure that we put a plan together that allows us to build it in the amount of time so that when that first school bell rings, we're able to get kids in seats, right? So if that's the driving focus behind everything that we do, I think that's probably the right approach. Of course, I've got kids myself. I've got 3 little girls that one day are going to be in an education system that I've had, a part of. So to me, I've got a lot of probably motivations, but being able to walk past or drive past and point out as I'm driving down the road to my kids, we're about to build a school in Wendell, which is, right down the road from my house. But to be able to drive them past there on a Saturday and say, hey, look, that's what Dad's working on, I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Julie, you made a point earlier where your firm does a lot of research and what these facilities, how the teaching styles, the teaching methods, what's going to deliver the product the best way. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was a really great point. I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit.
Oh, we do. We're really lucky to work with a team that has a lot of expertise in K-12. We've been doing it for 50 plus years, and I like to be able to leverage that expertise that we have throughout the firm. We have planners, we have educators, we have a bold team. It's bridging organizational learning through design, and we do different sorts of workshops and surveys and engagement with teachers and students and community and partner. And we really go in to uncover those specific needs of a district or of a school in every project. And we have that research and that data to back it up. We have true researchers on our team and here in North Carolina also who are looking at how student behavior, how student learning is impacted by their environment. And so we're always thinking about how do students learn, how do teachers teach, what can make a better space for them.
That really is. Your example that you gave about the different spaces, like a stairway may be used for something. That was a good example too.
Yeah, it's unique to watch the facilities kind of morph, where they used to be just little boxes, and you walk into a classroom, it was a square room.
Yep.
So many times now you see that the walls are somewhat angled. They've got different types of casework in them. They've, just different learning spaces that they just did not have 20 years ago.
Flexible spaces, flexible furniture. Students learn differently, and we need to teach and have those spaces for every kind of learner. The sensory, the acoustics, we're thinking about that more broadly now when we're designing, and we're conveying that and educating our clients about that as well. And so it's an exciting time to be a K-12 designer.
Yeah.
And, I can't think of a more rewarding kind of community-focused project. And, when you're really trying to impact the lives of children and our community and their success.
Yep, that's it. That's great. It's been a great discussion today. Thank you for being here. As we wrap up, what else would you like to add about K-12 construction?
From my perspective, just seeing the facilities that we build put into action is one of the coolest things that you can get from your job. So it's not just something that we just build a building, we're putting up some block, we're putting some paint on the walls and turning it into a facility. It's actually a place, and James kind of alluded to this, it's actually a place where people go to work and they go to school and they learn and they understand things. My dad was an educator for 35 years in the same facility. And so for me, he wanted me to be an educator, but I didn't want to do that. That's just not in my blood. My blood is to build. So being able to be a part of a K-12 environment, even though he wanted me to be a teacher, is somewhat special.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
James?
One of the things that I was thinking about was just the relationships and the network of folks that I run into the same people, job after job after job, right? We're working for the same clients. We're working with the same design partners. We've got the same trade partners, and it's really a pretty close-knit community.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I probably love about it the most, right, is that I'm going to carry a lot of these same trades with me from this job to the next job. So I think the importance of trust and relationships and building relationships and having a long-term focus on those relationships, I just think that that's been one of the most meaningful parts of what we do.
Well, I was just thinking when you were talking about the impact that schools have on the community, and I'm excited today to go to the ribbon cutting of the VPA project. And it's this time of year when we're closing out schools and finishing schools, and to see the satisfaction, the pride, and the excitement of the teachers and the students to be in their new school, their space, and to witness and see good contractors like TA Loving and many others who take a lot of pride too in making sure that everything is what it needs to be, where it needs to be, that the students are safe, that everything is ready to go, and seeing that momentum and the dedication to making sure that these students, that these schools open on time is something to see.
thank you all for being with us today. It's been a great talk, and I think it's been so informative for the folks that'll be watching to hear everything that goes into the schools that we build every day. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for Our First Century. If you've got questions you want us to answer or topics you want us to cover on an upcoming podcast, send them to us at podcast@taloving.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow along as we round out our celebration of 100 years at TA Loving Company. And remember, it's a great day to be in construction.